Yo, what's up? Ringside Report MMA is live. Tonight we're previewing UFC Vegas, Chikadze versus Barboza. Tyron Woodley is boxing Jake Paul this weekend. And should the UFC be going after Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson? He says Dana didn't reach out for a meeting. AJ's here. I'm here. Let's do it. AJ.
What's up, man?
How you doing, buddy?
Listen, man, you scared me when you I was like so focused on my book and my notes and everything, and then you just started screaming and I'm like, what the hell? Oh yeah, the show. Did you get what I was saying? Only one person got it. I was bringing up facts. I thought you were gonna get it. It's
you have an Aliens book and you have a GSP book. I think it was Brooklyn Lizard who figured it out. GSP and Aliens. Marvin Martian. I see.
For people that don't know,
George St. Pierre's
just in case,
believes in aliens. Believes that maybe he's had interactions.
He was abducted, apparently.
I don't know about that.
Which is possible. Look, honestly.
Which is possible. AJ starting off hot. You know, it's possible GSP was abducted by aliens. AJ starting off.
Think about it, Dave. Think about it. Look at the guy's fighting skills, his athleticism, his freakish nature.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Maybe
only way to explain that is aliens, right? Touched by aliens. It's the only way to explain his talent.
He got anally probed and all that kind of shit that goes on with aliens.
How do you explain John Jones?
I have no idea.
How do you explain John Jones?
John Jones is no alien.
How do you explain Khabib Nurmagomedov? How do you explain any great UFC fighter that doesn't claim abduction by aliens? How do you explain those guys?
I thought you were going to say John Jones got abducted. I was going to say, yeah, that's probably his picograms. But they're not like George, man. Let's be honest. They're not like that. They're not George's capabilities where at his age and out of the UFC, he's still doing black flips and he's doing all kinds of crazy shit.
What's a black flip?
Submerging himself into... did I say black flip?
Yeah.
A black flip. A black flip is when you hit the ground and you get bruised all over.
That's what you do. A black and blue flip. Shout out to Angelo Contagonis in the chat. Angelo, my man. Derek McCart, newcomer to the show, newcomer to the network. He was with us last night. Last night I went a little wild. I'm going to be a little nicer tonight. I'm not going to be so mean.
Hold on a sec.
I was mean last night. I went hard.
No, it was a great show. In fact, you know what? I got a call from someone, and they're like, hey, man, I think Dave thinks that you're against the vaccine. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I think Dave thinks that you're not.
Who's calling you and telling you this?
Like, some people, from the fans from the show. So I'm like, what? I'm like, no. Dave knows that I'm going for the vaccine and all that kind of shit.
Yeah,
He's like, no. I think Dave. But then I saw the show, and it was a good show, man. Last night's show was awesome. You were on fire, dude. Honestly, man, your rant was crazy. And
it's
you know
true.
what?
I spoke the truth. I'm just telling you how I feel.
Dude, that was beyond the truth. It was almost like Holy Grail truth, man. You know what? You were right on point. I was looking at the comments. I listened to the show. It was a fantastic show. Even Johnny was mesmerized. He just stayed quiet, and he let you go on that rant. And, man, you were right, dude. There's a lot of shows out there that are full of shit.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with you totally, man. There's certain people out there I like Luke Thomas.
Don't call anybody out by name. I'm not here to call anybody out by name. I was asked questions about a couple people, and I answered honestly what I thought. I gave you my honest opinion. Yeah. I'm not here to disparage anybody, and I'm also not here to say that it's the sports media or the MMA media that's lying to you. It's all media across the board is bullshit and lying to you. News media, sports media, MMA media. There's a lot of hucksters. There's a lot of people selling you lies and nonsense and trying to fool you into believing that they know what they're talking about when really they're just, repeating some stuff, regurgitating whatever is convenient. There's a lot of liars in all forms of media, and I think the Ringside Report Network is special because we're an independent form of media. We're telling you the truth and what we truly feel without any agenda. We don't have an agenda. There's no hidden agenda on the Ringside Report Network. It's the straight feel.
Let me.
What?
Whoa. Listen, man, I'm going to tell you something. If Spotify wants to come out and give us like Joe Rogan dollars, like fucking a couple $100 million,
yeah,
then I'll put in the contract every once in a while. I'll throw in a fib that they want me to say if they're going to pay us like $100 million. No doubt about it. I'm telling you the truth right now, man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely sell out for the right price, 100%. We just haven't done it yet, you know?
Because we haven't been offered that yet, but it doesn't mean that it won't happen. But
if
honestly,
you ever see me rolling around in like a Tesla truck or something, then you know I'm going to start spewing lies to you. If you see me like living really large and it's like I got a big house and I'm on vacation and wherever the hell, you know, then you could say, well, I think Dave might be on the take. I think he might be lying to us. And yes, I will be lying to you, and that point hopefully will come so I could get super rich and not be, you know, just a poor man. But
yeah, but you know what?
You know,
we won't sell out.
I would definitely sell out. No, 100%. For the right price, yeah, for sure I would sell out. But right now, I haven't sold out. We're completely independent. You know, if Spotify or anybody wants to come along, Amazon, if, you know, Elon Musk wants to make us the official MMA show of Tesla or whatever you want to do, I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to money. Really, anybody that wants to pay me big money to do the show, I will definitely do it. Or if somebody wants to pay me big money to stop doing the show and go away forever, I'll do that. You know, whatever for big money.
You can't do that.
How much money are we talking, AJ? How much money are we talking?
People would be no. For that, I won't sell out because if there's no Ringside Report show, man, like there's gonna be a lot of bored people, a lot of like the entertainment that comes with this show. Not only because I'm on it.
I know, but
to listen, somebody
way back, paying you to go away.
No. Like you know what, like man. It's not happening, dude. It's that doesn't happen. You know what?
Okay, well, it won't happen for you.
Like, you know what?
But I'm saying my price is
at least 100 mil.
I'd say 10 mil. 10 mil, and I'll stop doing shows. 10 mil,
like
I'll
John
be good.
Jones money. Come on.
Yeah, I'll be fine with 10 mil. You know what I could do with $10 million? I'd be set for life.
You'll be buying all the freaking shares of Yeezy.
If I ever make $10 million off the show, I mean, you know what I mean? What are the chances of that? At this point, I don't know, $10 million off Ringside Report Network or take $10 million to stop doing it altogether. I think I would probably take the 10 mil and go away forever. You never hear from me again.
Nah, you wouldn't be able to. Nah,
I definitely would.
But listen, I'm just going to tell you one thing.
You know how many sneakers I could buy with that? Ridiculous. I just go sneaker shopping all day. I'd buy a house for $1 million and then spend the rest on sneakers.
No. I'd stay low-key like I usually do. But listen, I'm going to tell you something.
Oh, yeah. AJ DeLessio, super low-key. That's what I would say about you. You're a low-key individual. You don't dress up in costumes and run around in the street in the middle of traffic. You don't do any of those types of things. You don't talk to everybody you meet, whether you know them or not, and tell them your life story. Oh, definitely not. You're super low-key.
I did that for the show, man. I told you it was for the ratings, fuck. I dressed up like
you
George.
Do that for life.
I don't know if George
I talked to
would dress
Lucy,
up as me.
AJ. You do that for life, brother. You talk to everybody. You go on and on. I talk to Lucy. She tells me what's going on in AJ world, and she says that you talk to everybody and you never stop. It's not for the show. That's how you operate. You're not low key.
No.
You never shut up.
No. The time I dressed up as Khabib and I did the Khabib
thing that was
on Running the Back.
That's not for the show.
That was for the show.
That's for you. You use the show as an excuse to do it because you like to dress up in costumes. And you know that's true. It's not for the show. You're saying, I'm on a show. I should dress up in costume. Nobody from the show asked you to dress up in a costume. You're just like, I'm going to dress up like Khabib, and I'm going to run around the streets causing a ruckus.
Yeah, you know what? Talk about Khabib. Now, I wish I had this when I was running the streets, man. But thanks to Dave Simon. Listen, Dave, talk about costumes and all. We got a new sponsor, a costume sponsor. Get me a Hogan uniform. Get me something, man.
Okay. I'm on it.
Did you see that, or you don't even know about it?
I don't know. There's a lot of new sponsors coming in. I'm trying.
So one of our sponsors is a costume sponsor. Like if you want costumes, Halloween costumes, whatever, get me a Hogan costume, and I'm doing it again. Listen, because soon enough I'm going to be back in studio. That's the beautiful thing about it. COVID Passport Part 2.
Come
on, Dave. You can't go back on that. You already promised, man. Don't freak me out now. I can only take so much in this studio of mine here. I'm, like, restricted.
I'll tell you this. I am aiming and hoping for the next UFC pay-per-view for you to be here.
It would have been great to see, like, a pay-per-view with Conor, man. But, like, honestly, it's all right.
It's not a Conor pay-per-view. It's going to be
I know.
Oh, yeah, Halloween costumes.
You see, I told you, man.
Toink.
So
T-O-Y-N-K. Yeah, all sorts of links that we have on our site. Go to our site. Go to ringsidereport.net/shop and then click on our store.
Everything, man.
Click on our
name
store.
It. What do you want to go? You want to go to Vegas? You want a Halloween costume? You want a tumbler? You want IP vanish? To protect all the porn you watch? Whatever. There's all kinds of stuff, man. Bet99 obviously is a big sponsor of ours. Who's putting out a heavy bet for our Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley? I mean, are we going to talk about that, Dave?
Yeah, of course. We're doing a watch-along on Sunday, right? Woodley versus Paul. You see everything going down today? That was crazy. Somebody from Jake Paul's camp.
You saw it?
Somebody from Jake Paul's camp started saying something to Tyron Woodley's mom. Woodley went bananas as he should. That was wild stuff.
So, you know what? I didn't get a chance to talk to you earlier today to see if you were watching the conference, but I was watching it, and I'm like, holy shit. And you know what's crazy? I mean, you see all these, like, UFC fighters that were commentating and whatnot. I mean, this is, like, pretty big. When you think about it, I even saw our buddy Olivier Aubin-Mercier that was like, you don't talk trash to the mama. You know? I mean, it just goes to show you, and I saw a comment earlier, and I keep saying it, and I'll say it till, like, till there's no more Jake Pauls and whatnot. But I said that these guys would change the face of combat sports. And, man, they did. And that conference, man, the things that he said and the things that he said after, I mean, like, I like the guy. I'm starting to like him. It's like Conor. You either like him or you hate him, but somehow or another you're intrigued to watch him, no matter what. And that's the thing with Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Really more Jake, in a sense, because this guy, man, he's got the gift of the gab. He's kind of like, he reminds me of Conor. If you looked at him today at the press conference, he kind of reminded me of Conor. I don't know if you were thinking the same thing, Dave, but without a shirt, and then he got ribbed for that. But, like, one comment that really irked me where I'm like, oh, okay, Jake, I think I might want to see you get knocked out, is when he's like, I'm here to expose all UFC fighters and their boxing capabilities. And I'm like, wow, man. When a guy could come out and start, like, dissing, like, the crossover sport, I mean, wow. I mean, boxing is one thing, but, like, if you get into the octagon, Tyron Woodley, no matter if he's 0-4, he's going to rip you limb from limb. I mean, this guy's a wrestler, and that post-conference, if whoever's watching right now hasn't seen it, I'm telling you, man, take a look at it. It was a bit disturbing. I think there's a lot of, like, the entourage that gets involved on the Jake Paul side.
Yeah.
But I don't know what he said to the mother, but I
don't know what was said to the mother.
I think I heard, if you want me to repeat it, it's basically like, I effed your mom,
I don't think that was said to the mom. I'm not sure what exactly was said to the mom, but Tyron was definitely mad. You saw Tyron's sister get into the guy's face that apparently said something to Tyron's mom. And, yeah, that's a step too far, especially, if you're some guy in the entourage of Jake Paul, which, like, really, how sad is that? I mean, you're in the entourage. I mean those talk about sellouts, right? Those guys are sellouts, man. If you're in the fight game and you're in the entourage of Jake Paul, you're a fucking sellout. Jorge Masvidal, turn around. He goes, oh, Woodley's going to knock him out. Now Jake Paul's talking shit about him. They were buddies before, but now they're not cool anymore, It's a bad scene to be around. You don't want to be around these Paul guys. The problem is, I think he's probably going to win on Sunday. I don't like this guy. I think he's a trash guy. I don't like Jake Paul at all. I would prefer to see Tyron Woodley win, but I've seen Tyron Woodley's past few fights in the UFC, and he just doesn't seem like he's that guy anymore. And I don't think we should sit here and pretend like Tyron Woodley was a great boxer. He was a great MMA
Whoa,
fighter
whoa.
in
Dave,
boxing. You know,
Dave.
he was a great MMA fighter. You know, he had some power, but he mixed a lot of that stuff with takedowns. He had a lot of wrestling, and I don't see him as a great boxing threat for Jake Paul, who's going to be a little bit bigger than him, who is coming in right now. Bet99.com has him as the favorite. Jake Paul minus 217, Tyron Woodley plus 154. Don't forget to go with us over at Bet99.com. Use that promo code Ringside when you place your bet, and you will get a matching deposit bonus of up to $600 over at Bet99.com with the promo code Ringside. And right now, Jake Paul by TKO, Jake Paul by knockout, minus 176. It's the favored outcome over at Bet99. Jake Paul is the favorite to win, and the most likely outcome, minus 176, is Jake Paul by knockout. Plus 1,200 is Jake Paul by decision. Woodley by knockout is plus 187. I think there's possibility there. Draw or technical draw, 1,800. And Woodley by decision, plus 2,000. Interesting.
You know what, Dave? You're talking about like the boxing skills of Woodley and whatnot. And if you look at Woodley, man, like the guys he's trained with Eric Brown, who came out of the Wildcard Boxing Club. That's Freddie Roach's place. I mean, he's been working with Woodley for over like a decade. You're looking at guys like Manny Pacquiao that came out of that gym and whatnot. You have Mayweather that's worked with Woodley. It's not like people can say, oh, he's just an MMA guy. These guys, man, their level of striking, the boxing game or the Muay Thai game is like at a high level, you know, even though it's not just uniquely boxing. But can these guys fight, man? When you're in these camps, in the boxing camps, you're not doing Muay Thai, you're not doing jiu-jitsu, you're not doing wrestling, you're just focused on the boxing aspect. And Woodley, man, you know, when he started his MMA career, he was 19-3-1. And when this guy can knock you out, I mean, remember what he did to Robbie Lawler to win the championship belt, man. He fucked up Robbie Lawler.
So if I'm
going to look at, it's a long time ago. Yeah, he's 0-4 right now. But you know what? This guy he looks good. He's taking this fight seriously. You know, it's not like who was those guys that he fought with? He fought that YouTuber. He fought Nate Robinson from basketball, and then he fought Ben Askren, probably the worst boxing technical fighter in MMA sports. But yet, don't mess around with Ben Askren. If it's an MMA fight, that wouldn't have happened. It would have been a totally different story. And you know that, man. If it was an MMA fight, the fight would have been over like in a nanosecond.
Yeah, but it's a boxing match. But it's a boxing match. It's not an MMA fight. If this was an MMA fight, Woodley would beat Jake Paul. I don't dispute that whatsoever. Jake Paul's not an MMA fighter. But you talk about Woodley and his boxing and what he's been doing. He's been doing that for what? 2-3 months? Jake Paul's actually been Woodley. Jake Paul's actually been doing this for a little while.
No.
How long has Woodley really been taking boxing seriously? Come on now. For how long?
Well, hold on a sec. For like decades, man. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. Woodley, man, yeah, he comes from that wrestling game. But he has over. Look at his striking, man. Look at him in the UFC, man. When this guy comes, yeah, he has a heavy right. Oh, maybe like Jake Paul is going to throw like jabs and he's going to go into a southpaw stance or whatever. You think Woodley hasn't seen this shit? This is a different animal. On Sunday, when he fights Tyron Woodley is coming out not for entertainment, not for only the dollars. He's coming out to really hurt this guy because this has become a real fight. In Woodley's mind, I'm telling you, this is Jake Paul, man. Okay, he's 15 years younger. He's got like 4-inch height reach. 15 years younger. You know, he's got like a 2-inch reach on Woodley. But the difference is this. He's fighting a guy who knows how to box. You're talking a guy who took out, who went with Mayweather to like even polish his game. But he's been with Eric Brown, man, for the longest time. Woodley knows how to box, and we know that. Even though he had a rough ride to the end of the UFC, I'm telling you, he's not going to have to worry about anything but just boxing and knocking the fuck Jake Paul out. And that's what's going to happen. No worry about takedowns. No worry about elbows. No worry with whatever. Even though Jake Paul is 3-0, and I give this guy the best credit, like you can imagine. You know, like the guy has risen. I seen it happening. He's really dedicated to boxing. I think the guy is a good boxer. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. We saw that. But he fought Ben Askren. He fought a Nate Robinson, a basketball guy.
Sure.
And he fought a YouTuber, dude. Let's be honest, man. It's like me saying that
But AJ,
I won like three wrestling matches against a guy who just like did a class.
He
another
stopped
guy
him.
who wasn't looking, and another guy was missing two
stopped
legs.
Ben Askren with one punch. He put him out with one punch. Say what you want about Ben Askren. You can't deny that Jake Paul's got the punching power to put a world-class fighter down with one punch. Ben Askren has been hit with punches before and not gone down. Elite fighters like Douglas Lima have hit Ben Askren square in his face, and he has kept moving forward. Jake Paul landed one shot on him and put his lights out. That's all I'm saying.
You know what?
He's a dangerous guy, and we got to give him a little bit more credit than just that Disney YouTube guy. He's 23 years old.
Absolutely.
He's fully focused on boxing. He's obnoxious. He's annoying. I hope that you're right that Tyron Woodley beats him on Sunday, but I've seen enough from Jake Paul and enough from Tyron Woodley to think, you know, I think Jake Paul's got a real shot at winning this fight. And if I were to place a bet on this, I think I'd be placing it on Jake Paul to get Tyron Woodley and maybe win by decision or maybe put him out of there. But I think Jake Paul is going to wind up winning. Tyron Woodley has looked good in his training videos. But his past 4 fights in the UFC, now sure, the guys that he's been fighting in the UFC are far more talented fighters than Jake Paul. But Woodley has looked extremely flat against these guys. Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, Kobe Covington, Vicente Luque. All elite fighters, world-class guys at 170 pounds in the UFC. But Woodley has not looked like himself against those guys. And again, I said elite guys at 170 pounds. This is a fight at 190 pounds. Jake Paul's much bigger than Tyron. This is a weight that Tyron's never fought at in a sport that he's never competed in. He's at some disadvantages. Is he a better all-around fighter? You know, if it were in the streets or in a cage, I think I would take Tyron Woodley. But this is a boxing match, and all these rules have been catered to Jake Paul because it's the Jake Paul show. This isn't the Tyron Woodley show. This is the Jake Paul show that we're watching, right?
You're right.
And it's set up for him. He's the favorite for a reason. I think Tyron Woodley could come in here and beat him. It's possible. I'm not a boxing expert. I'm an MMA guy. This isn't my sport. This isn't what we do. But it's a spectacle, so we're paying attention. And what I've seen from Jake Paul and what I've seen from Tyron Woodley in the past couple of years, I think Jake Paul's got a real shot at winning this fight.
Dave, you know what? It's not like Woodley lost his last fight against Vincent Luque by knockout. He got submitted. And when you look at Woodley's career, yeah, dude, it happens because you know what? His gas tank to be on the ground is not there. But maybe his standing game is going to be a lot different because that's all he's got to focus on. And let's be honest, Tyron Woodley hasn't been knocked out since 2012. That was the only time he's been knocked out, and he's fought everybody. This guy is a champion, a defending champion, and seen it all. And he went toe-to-toe with Robbie Lawler, man. The only time he got knocked out was by Nate Marquardt. That's it, 2012. I'm telling you right now that Jake Paul was able to knock out Ben Askren, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Ben Askren came out like one of those inflatable penguins that you bonk in the nose and they go back and forth when you win them at at the amusement park. He had his arms down, so stiff. And there's one thing with Jake Paul I got to give him. His boxing has improved a lot. You can see that in the gym. He has a great jab. Set him up with the jab. Boom. He hit a standing punching bag. Ben Askren didn't even defend. He didn't even have his arms up, man. He had his arms down, and he ate that punch, and he went to sleep. That's not going to happen with Tyron Woodley. Because Tyron Woodley like I said, has decades of experience in boxing, training with Eric Brown, coming out of Roach's camp. You know what? This is a different game. I'm telling you, if Tyron Woodley doesn't knock out Jake Paul, and I think today's press conference, after insulting his mom, I think that's going to be a reason to invigorate Tyron Woodley to hurt this guy. I'm sure Jake Paul was like, oh, fuck. But you know what? I really think that this fight is a real fight. If Jake Paul can actually manage to win this fight by knockout, that hasn't happened since 2012, I'm going to say that Jake Paul, man, really has the potential. I mean, there was even at one point in the press conference, he kind of started talking about Fury, which is the younger brother of Tyson Fury. And, like, at one point, they kind of stopped the press conference because I think Fury got really upset. And like, you know what? There's guys in the back of Woodley and in the back of Jake Paul that are boxers, man, that have lived, they breathe, and, and sacrificed themselves in a boxing gym for decades to get to there. And then they got these two guys, well, other than Tyron Woodley, where they have respect for him because he's a real combat artist, man, I don't think that Fury in the back of that post-conference was, like, too happy with Jake Paul. And I was thinking that something was going to happen there at one point. But, look, we'll see on Sunday. If Tyron Woodley doesn't win, which I'd be very, very surprised. And like I said, I like Jake Paul. He brings an entertainment to combat sports that only Conor McGregor has been able to do. That's what I'm saying. And if you look at Jake Paul, he said it. He says the only reason he wanted to get to where he is was really to get a chance to fight like Conor or Mayweather. If he beats Tyron Woodley, man, I'm telling you, the Conor thing might be an actual thing that might happen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
As crazy as it sounds,
it's
it
not
might
that crazy.
actually happen.
It's not that crazy. It's
You
what I
agree with me?
predicted.
Holy shit.
I predicted it a long
Put a
time ago.
timestamp on this.
Right? When did I predict that?
So you actually still believe that that's going to happen? Well, okay.
Well,
okay.
I mean, when did I say that was going to happen? I said it like months ago. I was like, Conor's going to lose to Poirier again. Jake Paul is going to beat Woodley. And then eventually they're going to fight each other. I said basically Conor was going to lose to Poirier. And he's going to be on, the train to Jake Paul, Logan Paul land. He's going to fight those guys because those are going to be the money fights for him once people realize that he's just no longer relevant in the UFC.
Dude, that's
which
so
might
messed
happen.
up. You know what? Listen, it's so
soon.
crazy, man. Even AJ is saying that it's nuts. But I'll tell you what, if that actually happens, it will become the #1 all-time pay-per-view blockbuster, and it's going to be really, really hard to beat. When you got Conor McGregor, who's already got, like, I think 7 out of 10 blockbuster pay-per-views, like 7 out of the top 10, it's Conor McGregor. But he fights a guy like Jake Paul, who has a following that is unbelievable. It'll be crazy. And even, like, he was talking trash. He says if he ever sees Dana White in some club in L.A. or whatever the hell he goes to, he'll fuck up Dana White, who comes from a boxing background, by the way. Dana White has been in boxing gyms. He's fought, like, amateur boxing. I mean, Dana White could probably fuck you up if he has to. But the thing is, and he has a lot more weight on Jake Paul than
I'll tell you what I want to see,
else.
AJ. If Jake Paul beats Tyron Woodley on Sunday, which I think he will, I then want to see him box Anderson Silva. You want to fight somebody? You want to fight an MMA guy? Fight Anderson Silva. You want to fight an old guy? Fight Anderson Silva. Because Anderson Silva, more than Woodley, more than Askren, Anderson Silva's got some hands. Anderson Silva can box. And
I think
also, Anderson Silva is the same size as Jake Paul. Jake Paul keeps picking these guys that fought at welterweight. He's picking guys that fought professionally at 170 pounds to box him at 190 pounds. He's got a height and reach advantage on all his opponents. You want to go after a UFC guy? You want to go after a guy that's past his prime? Pick on somebody your own size. Go after Anderson Silva, Jake Paul. I double dare you. But he doesn't want any of Anderson Silva because Anderson Silva would smoke him. You want to talk about guys that would fucking, do it to Jake Paul? Anderson would do it to Jake Paul. He'd put it on him. Vitor Belfort. After Vitor knocks De La Hoya's head off his shoulders, I want to see Vitor, TRT Vitor, go after Jake Paul in a boxing match. Fight
That's
a
scary,
serious 190-pound to 200-pound fighter. Don't fight these 170-pound guys. Fight a legit 190-pounder. You want to fight an ex-UFC guy? Go ahead. Take one of those Brazilian monsters. Go up against Anderson Silva or Vitor Belfort and see what happens to you, Jake Paul. Anderson Silva at 50 years old will fuck your ass up.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think I don't think Woodley's that guy. I don't think Woodley's that guy to do it. I got Jake Paul by knockout on Sunday. I'm going with Jake Paul. He's going to win. AJ, you and I are going to be watching this fight together Sunday night right here on the Ringside Report Network. We're doing a watch-along for the fight, and for that fight only. I'm not sitting here for 3 hours watching a bunch of boxers that I've never heard of on the undercard to this freak show fight.
Some good ones.
I don't give a shit. You could watch it. You could talk about it when we start the watch-along. We'll start the watch-along a bit before the Woodley-Jake Paul fight, but I'm not going to watch several boxing matches waiting for this shit because, honestly, I've got better things to do on a Sunday night than sit around and watch Tyson Fury's little brother as like a minus 2,000 favorite go up against some jabroni. No, thank you. Fuck that undercard.
Man, oh, man. Well, listen, it could have been worse, man. We could have had Justin Bieber in there. We could have had, like, fucking De La Hoya.
Thank God it's a Showtime production. Thank God it's not
really,
Triller.
It's legit, man.
Yeah, it's a real pay-per-view. That's why we're watching it. Because it's a real pay-per-view. And that's what we did for the Mayweather-Logan Paul thing. You remember? We didn't watch that whole card. We did a watch-along for the main fight because I'm not here sitting around watching boxers I've never heard of watch fucking box. I'm not interested in that.
Look,
I don't know what time it's going to be either, okay? Just tune in.
Wait,
I don't know. Angelo's asking what time's the fight. The pay-per-view starts at 9, but there's several fights before the main card. So I would say probably we'll go on around 10:30 or 11, AJ, roughly.
Oh, no.
Later?
I think even later than that. Yeah, so the main
maybe
card,
we'll
like
come
boxing,
on around 11.
I think it'll be on, it'll probably be at midnight. We'll see. Like, it's really hard to time boxing fights. Like UFC fights, midnight, if it goes past, it gets crazy. But generally by 1 o'clock, it's done,
Hopefully.
And, it's going to be the same thing for boxing here. I mean, I think the fight will probably happen around 11:30 midnight. We'll see.
Yeah, so we'll come on around 11, I think, Sunday night.
Yeah, we'll put it on our social feeds, and we'll get a better idea when we're going to start. But,
or you know what you could do? You know what you could do? You could just subscribe to the channel, and when you subscribe, you click the bell, so you get notifications when we're on. You get that notification, so as soon as we're on, you will know. So that's really the best way to do it if you're wondering what time we'll be on Sunday night to tell you all about Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. I'm going with Paul. AJ's going
midnight,
with the Wood.
Dave, I got it. It is at midnight Eastern time.
That's a guesstimation. That's a guess.
Well, they're actually posting that on like some sites. So look,
yeah, but it's a guess.
Midnight.
People post all sorts of stuff. Man. What did I tell you about the media and everybody lying to you, AJ? People post things like, the fight will be on at midnight. It'll be on at 12:15 Eastern time. They don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Look,
we're telling you what's really happening. It'll be around 11:30 or 12, okay? Around there, we'll be on before Watch Us. We'll tell you. Nobody knows. Listen, AJ could look it up and tell you all sorts of stuff, but he's going to give you more false information, and I don't want to spread that.
Hey, listen, man, I'm part of the Ringside team. I don't give you no false shit.
Well, sometimes you do, and that's why I have to correct you.
No.
Yeah.
Listen, it's $59.99 to get Showtime pay-per-view, man. These guys are making money. I don't know how many pay-per-views they're going to sell, but I'm sure it's going to be up there. After today, man,
I know you want to come over and watch that.
I do, man. On a Sunday, who wouldn't? We grab a couple of Delalo burgers, sit back, some Doritos.
Yeah, but then you'd want to sit around and watch the whole boxing card. I'm not doing that. I'm not spending Sunday night with you watching boxing. Boring.
Listen, no. I would come at the later fights, and that's it, man. No need to. Angelo. No. We're not starting no fight. Actually, Angelo started the whole fight yesterday, from what I noticed.
Yeah, Angelo asked one question, and and everything went. It was a good question, Angelo. Angelo always has good questions. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I like
good.
when Dave goes on that rant, man. It goes crazy. And actually, somebody mentioned like your old buddy, and actually like I listen to him every once in a while as well as Gabe Morency, man. That would be like a completely like crazy night if you could bring him on at one point, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy Gabe.
Yeah.
Man.
He's a sports
fun,
he's a sports guy. He likes, sports. I think he's into MMA too, but yeah, I mean, maybe one day.
He's into we should have get him on the Jake Paul like stuff, you know? Jake Paul Woodley stuff. It would be crazy to do a pay-per-view show with him. It would be nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we could think about it. We'll talk about it. What's up to Franco 316, Angelo Contagonis, members of the team. Don't forget to be a member. Hit us up on Super Chat. This is a fan-supported, listener-supported show. This is for you, by you. You guys support this show. You guys are the reason this channel exists. Guys like Franco, guys like Angelo, supporting the channel. Hit us up on Super Chat. Become a member. If you're not a member already, join. What are you waiting for? I see some of you not members. I'm not going to say you by name because you're not members. If you were members, I would mention your names more often. Like I mentioned Franco 316 and Angelo, who are awesome.
But we still love you, man.
Yeah, we still love the people that watch, but the people that support the channel, we love them more because they're supporting the channel and they are the reason why this channel
It's like the favorite child. I understand. It happens.
Well, I mean,
There's always a favorite child, no matter what parents say.
What am I trying to tell you about independent media? Independent media is only independent and only exists because of the people that support it. And if the people don't support it, then it ceases to exist. So I'm thanking the people that support it because they're the reason why this channel exists. No corporate backers, no bullshit. This is a channel by the people for the people.
And listen, man, our sponsors love us, man. For some reason, man, we've got more sponsors than some of those like jabronis.
I know.
For some reason, man, I have no idea.
What can you say?
Listen, I just wanted to get the truth. Yeah, the truth hurts sometimes, but it's real, man. Dave, let me get back to one thing before I forget.
Okay.
You were talking about Woodley, right?
Yes.
And like he's going up to 190. And
yeah.
And when you look at GSP, like when he's fighting under 180 and whatever. Like when you look at these guys outside of the octagon, when they're walking around, even with George now, like he's training like a beast. Like his walking weight, man, he's around 190, maybe 195 at times. I mean, George is much bigger than when you see him in the ring. And it's the same thing with Tyron Woodley.
But you don't fight at your walking weight. You don't fight at your walking weight.
Listen, man, I could kind of disagree with that because I'm still up from the old school of thought where a lot of guys, man, really don't get to their potential when they cut so much weight. And we've seen that with Darren Till. We've seen it so many times where people cut so much weight and they just can't perform. You know what? I respect a lot of fighters that fight within their natural weight. And you can see it, man. The power doesn't go down and whatnot. I just think that Tyron Woodley, his walking weight is probably, my guesstimation is probably around 190. So for him, he looked good in the conference. He looked good. Woodley looked like Woodley when I saw him before his 0-4 record. He looks good, man, and he's fired up. I'm telling you, that 190 is not going to make a difference. And there's not much of a reach because you can look at Jake Paul. He's got a 76-inch reach. You've got Tyron Woodley at 74-inch reach. Now that is it's not huge. There is a slight edge to Jake Paul, but it's not huge.
Right.
I don't give a shit how tall he is. It's that reach that makes the difference. And I think that reach is going to be the thing that hurts Jake Paul because he's got to get in. And I'm telling you, man, if he gets in and he doesn't land that jab and he doesn't get that right that he's knocked out the three jabronis of the past, Tyron Woodley's going to fuck him up. I'm telling you. It's going to fuck him up.
You are telling me. You are telling me he's going to fuck him up, AJ, and I hear you, and I hope you're right. I really do.
I shouldn't swear so much. I apologize to anyone who gets offended by
I'm offended
by our Quebec language.
Yeah.
In Quebec, they swear all the time, man. Even when you go get a hot dog, it's like, give me one of those smooth, like one
Take
of those steamies.
Derek McCart says he doesn't see the join button. I think you have to do it on a desktop. I don't think. Yeah, you could go to join.ringsidereport.net. on a browser as well. Join.ringsidereport.net. And
Thanks,
that'll take you
you.
to the join, and you'll be able to join the channel. Just go on a browser, go to join.ringsidereport.net. Derek, if you're looking to join, we appreciate you. We appreciate any new and old members. I know if you're watching on a phone, you don't always see that join button below me, but if you're watching on a desktop, you could see the join button. And if you're watching on a phone, just open up a browser and go to join.ringsidereport.net. And you'll be able to join that way, and then you'll be part of the team.
So the join is below you.
Always.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
The Bill Clinton shit. I understand.
Wow, AJ.
It's okay, man. Where's Fred? Hey, listen.
I don't know if
Freddie,
I'd be able
man.
to focus on the show if that was happening.
Well, you need a cigar, that's for sure.
You want a cigar, AJ? I got them. I got some fresh ones.
I have a collect. Do you? I've got cigars. Do you like cigars, Dave?
Never
This
take a
whole time,
cigar
like,
from
we've
Bill
been friends.
Clinton. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it might be. It might be slightly used.
That's how you get venereal disease, I think.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I saw a picture of him lately. He looks pretty good, man.
Yeah, he doesn't have syphilis?
Hillary? He might have.
Take it easy,
but,
AJ. All right, take it easy.
Listen, you're the one who brought it up. Why are you blaming me, man? I'm just going with your joke. Listen, I'm just saying he looked good. That's what I said. I said something positive.
Yeah, but then you said something negative about his wife because you're a mean guy. Why do you have to do that?
No, I'm just saying. I didn't say anything mean, man. I just said like he's looking a little bit more like he looks like he's going to the gym with his double COVID passport. That's all I'm saying.
All right. AJ, it's just getting ridiculous. AJ's getting crazy. Barboza versus Chikadze coming up.
Oh, Chikadze.
I thought it was Chikadze.
No, Chikadze.
It doesn't matter what his name is. It's Giga. Call him Giga. Giga versus Barboza. It's the main event of the UFC card on Saturday night. Giga has won a bunch of fights in a row now. 8 in a row, including 6 now in the UFC. 6-0 in the UFC, knocking out Cub Swanson in just 63 seconds in his last fight. 33 years old from Georgia takes on Edson Barboza, the Brazilian, 35 years old. This guy's been in the UFC for a while. 10 years.
11 years. Man.
Over 10 years. 11
actually.
years. Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
2010,
crazy, man.
He made his octagon debut. He's coming off a knockout win over Shane Burgos. Barboza's career has been up and down. You know, he's looked elite, and then he's looked not so elite. He's looked great, and then he's looked not so great. It's hard to tell who Edson Barboza really is. You have fights like
David,
Dan Hooker, where he knocks him out, looks great, and then he has fights against Paul Felder, where he loses. You know, Kevin Lee
Paul Felder's
stopped
a good
him.
Fighter.
Yeah, I know, but there's just been a lack of consistency with Edson Barboza throughout his career that just makes you wonder what he's going to do. And it's also, you know, he's got beautiful knockouts, beautiful kicks. He's got the ability to put your lights out real quick, but he's also got the ability to come out very flat. It's hard to bet on Edson Barboza. It's hard to predict his fights because sometimes he looks like a world beater and sometimes he looks like a kind of journeyman, mediocre fighter. It's hard to tell. Giga has looked really good. Giga has looked a little bit more dominant in his UFC run, but this is for sure his toughest test. This is the toughest fight that he's ever had.
I was going to say, Dave, he was a former pro kickboxer. It's not like he's coming into MMA without really having another form of combat experience.
Mm-hmm.
Giga Man is awesome, and we've seen him in fights, and we're like, holy smokes, this guy is good. And you're right, man. This guy, look, fighting Barboza, you know that it's going to be an exciting fight. There's going to be fireworks. It's going to be lit up. But you know what? You're right with Barboza. He's hot and cold, and a lot of times he's got this cold streak. But Giga, man, he's got something. This guy he's not the favorite for no reason. And I think he's probably going to end up winning this fight.
He's not the favorite.
I would imagine. Giga's not favorite?
No.
Are you sure about that, man?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, then if that's the case, I thought he was favorite.
He's not the favorite for no reason.
If that's the case,
that's because he's not
Giga.
actually the favorite. I think he's a slight underdog. I'll give you the odds
I thought
here.
Giga was favorite, man.
No. I think he's the underdog, although I don't see the odds here. I have odds for minus Barboza minus 115, Chikadze minus 105. So Barboza slight favorite going into this one, just barely.
Man,
I like Giga.
So do I. You know, I saw him as a favorite at one point, but
not anymore.
It's not a huge difference in age. You're looking at 35 for Barboza, like 33 for Giga.
Mm-hmm.
You know, veteran experience, no doubt about it with Barboza, but man, oh man.
Going with Giga. AJ's got Giga.
Yeah, going with the underdog, man.
As he struggles to find a betting site that will have Giga as the favorite because AJ really believes that that's what he saw, even though he can't find it because it doesn't exist. Because Barboza is a slight favorite going into this one. AJ and I both going with Giga. What'd you say, Chikadze? I thought it was Chikadze. And you mispronounce everybody's name, so I don't trust you.
I have a feeling I'm right on this one.
I have a feeling you're wrong.
Like that's the way they say it in the UK, Dave. Just don't get mad at me, but Chikadze.
Okay. I won't get mad at you, I promise. Jeez. What else do we have on this card? Okay.
Oh yeah, we have Brian Battle. That's your whole thing you've been watching, no?
Here we go.
Here we go. Stand back, kids.
I've been watching The Ultimate Fighter. I've seen all the episodes of Ultimate Fighter. I am an Ultimate Fighter expert. I know these guys. I know them inside and out. I feel like I have a real betting edge going into a lot of these fights. The Barboza Chikadze fight, Chikadze, Giga fight, whatever. Yeah. But some of these Ultimate Fighter fights, I really have a good feel, okay? Brian Battle is a tough motherfucker from Alaska. Tough. Good striking, good ground game, impossible to put away, great cardio, just keeps coming forward. Like a real... He almost reminds me of Forrest Griffin. He kind of talks like Forrest Griffin. Just a hard-nosed guy that's just going to keep coming forward and just never stops, right? Gilbert Urbina was not supposed to be here. Gilbert Urbina is not the finalist of The Ultimate Fighter. So this is The Ultimate Fighter finale at middleweight. The co-main event to this card. Gilbert Urbina lost in the semifinals to Tresean Gore. Tresean Gore was going to be my pick to win this whole thing. As soon as I saw this guy's first fight in The Ultimate Fighter, I said, Tresean Gore is going to win The Ultimate Fighter. This is a bad motherfucker. Unfortunately, Tresean is injured, and he had to pull out of this fight a couple weeks ago. So Gilbert Urbina, the guy that Tresean beat in the semis, he steps in to take on Brian Battle. I think Gilbert Urbina is very similar to Brian Battle, very similar style, very similar fighter, just not as good, not as durable, not as... I don't think his cardio is as good, not as strong in that way. So I like Brian Battle in a major way. Right now, the odds have Brian Battle as a minus 175 favorite. I would call Brian Battle my lock of the night. I am very confident in Brian Battle winning this fight and winning the Ultimate Fighter. He's taken on a guy who's already lost in this tournament, who's not supposed to be here. If this were Tresean Gore, it would be a completely different story. And if you watch The Ultimate Fighter, you know what I'm talking about. AJ, you don't know what I'm talking about because you didn't watch The Ultimate Fighter, but let me tell you, this guy Tresean Gore, holy shit, man. This is a bad motherfucker. And when you see this guy fight, hopefully his injury, I think it's a bad knee injury, and I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't slow him down, and when he does come back, he's the same fighter. Because if he is, look out. This guy is dangerous. Very impressed with Tresean Gore. What happened?
Did he get hurt?
He's hurt
in the fight? Is that it?
No, he got hurt training for this one. 2 weeks ago, he had to pull out. Yeah, training camp injury for Tresean Gore. They throw Gilbert Urbina in, the guy that Tresean beat in the semifinals. So it's Urbina plus 142, Brian Battle minus 175. Go with Battle. Battle will win. I think probably by decision, but I could see him knocking him out. I think Battle by decision is the play here. I like Brian Battle in a major way on Saturday night. Like, big. Big. Okay? He's my lock of the night. I don't always give you a lock of the night. Bryan Battle is a fucking lock. Put it down. There you go. Done. Cash it. Go Battle. This guy, I like this guy too. I like him. He seems like a nice guy. After he won his fight in the semifinals, he asked Dana to give him a bonus so that he could train full-time for his final fight. I mean, this is not a guy who's been, fighting full-time. This is a guy who's had to work a job and train. Hopefully Dana gave him that postseason bonus, and he has been able to train full-time. I think he has. Bryan Battle submitting Andre Petrosky was one of the big shocks of the season. Beautiful guillotine choke, just boom, put his lights out. I love it. I'm a big fan of Bryan Battle, so I'm all about Bryan Battle. Lock it in. I know, AJ, you don't really know who these fighters are. Just go with me, all right?
No, I read up on them actually, but I'm gonna end up watching like the show. I'll find it and I'll watch it and whatnot. And yeah, I was behind the scene because there was a lot of things happening the last couple of weeks with AJ, and I was behind on a lot of news and a lot of things that were happening in the world of combat. But I was gonna say, how was the show as a whole? Like, was it fun? Was it entertaining? Like, were these guys like, was it like that soap opera style? Like,
no,
you were intrigued to watch every event?
No,
none of that shit. It was just the fights.
The stories and the beef between the fighters and the drama barely existent in this show. Like, there was not much happening. It was kind of boring, but the fights, holy shit. Like, great fights on this show. This guy, Ricky Turcios, I'm telling you, this guy is a savage. You got to watch out for Ricky Turcios. His fight with Ludovic Sholinian was insane. Insane.
Wow. Okay.
This guy, Ricky Turcios, is a gamer. And that's the other fight here.
Where's he from?
Turcios is from, I don't know. I'll tell you here in a second. Turcios, he's American. From Houston, Texas. Fights out of Sacramento.
Texas.
Tough guy. His opponent, Brady Heistand, 5-1, 22 years old. This guy is a kid. Ricky Turcios, so on The Ultimate Fighter, when they reached the semifinals, they got to call home. Ricky Turcios, 28 years old. He calls home. He's got a wife. He's got a kid on the way or something. I think he had a kid, He calls his, grown-up family. Brady Heistand, whatever his name is. This guy, he calls his mom, his little brother. He's a kid. He's still a kid. But he's a dangerous kid.
Interesting.
He's a dangerous kid. At 22, this is a fight. This is a hell of a fight. Turcios versus Brady. Right now, Brady is the underdog, plus 130. Turcios minus 160, the favorite. Turcios is just one of these guys, just moves forward, great chin. He's like a tornado. Just furious. Great kicks, great punches, really good striker, really good on the ground. Doesn't give up on the ground. He's not a guy that's going to take you down and kind of hold you and stuff, but if he does get taken down, he's got really good scrambles. Really good. He moves a lot. He's got a lot of energy. He's got great cardio. But this guy, Brady, man, there's something about him. There's something about the way he ran through the tournament. There's something about the way he beat his friend and training partner back in Spokane, Washington, Josh Reddinghouse, who was the most experienced guy on the show. And Brady edged out a split decision over him. That was a tough, tough fight. That was his toughest fight. And then he ran through Vince Murdoch. He knocked him out in the first round. Just smoked him. And he looked like an improved fighter. From the Reddinghouse fight to the Murdoch fight. This guy is so young and so young in the game that he's improving in the house from fight to fight. It's like 4 weeks in between, and you can see the level change. I can imagine how good this guy might be when he steps on the mat on Saturday night. This guy, Brady, you see it a lot on The Ultimate Fighter. They're one fighter when they leave the house, and then when you see them at the finale, well, the show was finished filming 6 months ago. They've been training for this fight. They're ready to go. I don't think it was 6 months ago. It was maybe 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. But the show's been done for a while. So the next time you see them, they're an evolved fighter. And this kid at 22 years old, who knows what he's going to look like come fight night. But also, Ricky Turcios, dangerous. Dangerous.
Wow.
But I like Brady.
Honestly, dude,
I'm going with the underdog,
I want to see
man.
this now.
Oh, you got to see this. This is a fight, man.
Yeah.
I'm fucking hyped. This is the fight. To me, this is the main event on this card. It's Turcios versus Brady Hiestand. That is the fight to me on this card. That's the Ultimate Fighter finale at 135 pounds. And that's the real finale. It's two guys that fought their way through the tournament. They made the finals, and now they're fighting each other in the finals. Unfortunately, the Brian Battle fight, he's fighting Gilbert Urbina and not Tresean Gore. Tresean is the real finalist, but he got hurt. But this Turcios fight, this is the real deal fight. This is the main event to me. Winner of this is the Ultimate Fighter. This is a life-changing fight for both men. You win this fight, your life changes. You lose this fight, maybe you get a UFC contract, maybe you don't. This is huge.
Crazy, eh?
And I like Brady. I think Brady is a better wrestler, and he's going to get key takedowns probably in the second and third round, but maybe in the first round too. I don't know when they're going to happen, but I think he gets key takedowns during this fight where he's able to outpoint, control Turcios on the ground. I don't think Brady wants to stand with Ricky Turcios. I think he wants to take him to the ground and nullify him. And if he can get a key takedown in 2 out of the 3 rounds, he wins this fight. And that's how I see this playing out. I think Brady gets key takedowns and wins the fight. If he can't take him down, he's going to be in trouble. If he can't keep him down and stay on top, he's going to be in trouble. Turcios is super dangerous. I see why he's the favorite. But there's something about this Brady guy that I feel like he's going to win. I watch a lot of Ultimate Fighter, and I've picked dog winners in the past. I remember, this kind of feels like when Kelvin Gastelum fought Uriah Hall. It was similar. And everybody thought Uriah Hall was going to win because he knocked out all these guys in the Ultimate Fighter, and he looked so impressive. But Kelvin Gastelum, he grinded his way through the tournament. He out-wrestled and out-fought his way through the tournament. And I said, I think this Gastelum kid's going to win. And lo and behold, he won the Ultimate Fighter. He beat Uriah Hall. He was a big underdog going into that fight, if you'll recall. And I said, no. Gastelum. And this has a similar feel to me. Turcios is not that big of a favorite. Turcios right now, like I said, minus 160. Brady Hiestand, plus 130. I like Brady Hiestand for the underdog win.
Dude, man, I'm going to put some money down on this. I mean, I've never heard anyone talk about the tough finalists or anybody in the last weeks breaking it down like you did, man. You're you really know your shit on this.
Well, I watched the whole
honestly,
season. I'm very into it.
I know, that's amazing. Now I'm all pumped to see who these guys are. I mean, the Ultimate Fighter, I mean, it's a great show. And even though I didn't watch it, I mean, I had the opportunity at one time, if you remember way back, when it was Team Canada versus Team Australia, I was sort of in that circle of the back scenes of the fighters. I mean, I was with Olivier Aubin-Mercier when we were going to watch the show. We were in a bar restaurant watching the next show. I mean, everybody was captivated, and Olivier didn't say anything that was going to happen on the show that we were watching, and we were sitting and watching, and I'm like, Olivier, what's going to happen? He's like, I can't say anything. Watch. And, it's cool, man. And, really when you get into a season, which I didn't get, obviously, into this one, which I kind of regretted now. It's
you missed
really,
some good fights,
that's why
man.
I say
really good fights.
Yeah, man. You know what? But you know what? I'm going to rewatch it, and it's too bad.
It's not as fun now. You know what happened.
It's not as fun. But the thing is that once you really get captivated by one of the tough seasons, man, you're into it. And for myself, like I said, I was sort of behind the scenes of the fighters and the coaches, because obviously I trained with them, and being up and personal, you get to hear some stories, and there's a lot of stories that are not put into the show,
Of course.
I've seen a lot of crazy shit, but that's what I was trying to say is that soap opera feel. Was there that soap opera feel? And other than the fighters, was there anybody that you said, man, this guy has the fight game and he has the marketability game? Because that's just as important now
I'll tell you,
fighting, as we can say.
Turcios.
Is there anybody?
Turcios.
Yeah?
Yeah. If he wins, he's going to be a star in the UFC. I just don't think he's going to win. But he could. You know what I mean? He very much could. He's really good. He's really good, and he's got a personality. I think if Turcios wins, yeah, he's got a chance to be a big star in the UFC. I just feel like he's gonna come out on the losing end. Patrick C. Hamilton says, "How much can I win with your picks, Dave?" Thank you, Patrick, for the super chat. You are the super chat leader of the night, Patrick. Like Doug Hepburn says, the godfather of the member universe. Patrick C., my man, the OG, the original, the first ever member of the Ringside Report Network. Thank you, Patrick. Dropping a super chat. He wants to know what he can win with the picks. Let me tell you, Team Dave over at bet99.com. Let's take a look. I said let's take a look. Thank you. So there's Team Dave. Okay, you see my... Whoa. There we go. Here we go. Bet99.com. There's Team Dave's parlay. This is my parlay. This is what I'm giving you. 2 fights. 2-fight parlay. It's the Ultimate Fighter special. Ultimate Fighter finale. We're going with Brian Battle minus 175. Brady Heastand plus 130. $20 gets you $72.28. Plus 261. Is that huge money? No. But if you want to bet, 200, then you get 722. If you want to bet, 2,000, you could win $7,000. But, you have to have $2,000 to kind of wager with and play around with, which I don't. If I bet $2,000 and I lost $2,000, I'd be in big trouble.
Listen, man, there's some people that put some crazy bets. I mean, like when Greece won the Euro way back, like some guy put I think it was $5,000 the year before, and then he won like ridiculous amount of money. I think it was in the million or something. But sometimes, man, you got to go with it, man. You just never know.
Yeah, but don't bet above your head. Yeah, do it responsibly.
But never listen. Have fun, man. It's like going to the casino. Just go there and have fun. Don't go there and drop everything. Have a couple of drinks. The free drinks. I can dance a little bit at the nightclub. That kind of stuff.
I don't know what you're talking about. For me, if I could throw $10-20 on the line on a bet, I'm good with that. If I lose $20, it happens. Anything more, I get upset. I'm not a good gambler. I'm not a guy that likes to gamble that much. But it is fun, man. It is fun. But I hate losing. That's the problem. Winning is fun. And I do seem to win more often than I lose. That does seem to happen. But I still... the sting of the loss just pisses me off so much. But I think we're going to do good with the Team Dave picks. We're going with Brady and Battle. Patrick, go with Brady and Battle. That's the team. Angelo Contagona says, this will make me want to watch the next Ultimate Fighter when it comes on. Patrick saying, not sure I will take the chance. Well, don't put the $2,000 there, Patrick.
No, don't.
I mean, $2,000 is a little, that's a little steep, baby. I mean, I don't know. If you've got the $2,000, Patrick, I don't know your situation. I mean, some people might be multimillionaires to watch the Ringside Report Network. I don't know. But I'm not.
Even if you are, man, even if you got Conor McGregor money, sometimes
I mean, Dana White bets $10,000 per blackjack hand,
dude, Did he put $1 million down or something on some crazy? Yeah, in Vegas or whatever. They had to pull him away at one point. I mean, listen, just don't be stupid. That's the key thing,
Yeah.
Put money on Woodley. You're gonna win. I'm telling you. I can feel it.
I don't know about that. We'll see. Patrick C. Hamilton, Angelo Contagona dropping the super chats. Angelo still in the lead. Patrick hit one back. I thought he was taking the lead, but Angelo still slightly in the lead. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys. But, I'm looking forward to this fight card on Saturday night, the Ultimate Fighter. I also like Andre Petrosky over Michael Gilmore. Michael Gilmore, I think, was on this season. He was a replacement guy. Oh, yeah, he was the replacement guy. He got smashed by Gilbert Urbina in the first round. Yeah, he's for sure going to lose. Oh, I have another lock. Throw that on Team Dave. I guess it doesn't really matter because he's such a huge favorite, but, screw it. Andre Petrovsky is for sure winning that fight. Minus 550. Throw Petrovsky on there. Team Dave special. He's fighting that guy, Michael Gilmore. There you go. Add another. Throw another one on there. Let's give it another one. Petrovsky, minus 550. Let's add a little bit. Let's beef up this parlay. 3-fight parlay. It's the Ultimate Fighter special. Team Dave, plus 327. $20 wins you 85. Okay? We're going with Battle, Brady, Andre. That's how we do it, AJ. And AJ's bet for the weekend is Tyron Woodley. Do you have any bets for this UFC card?
Well, you know what? Like I said, I'm gonna. If I had to do it, like, there's a lot of fights here where I'm a little iffy, but like Chikadze, I think.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
We're both going with Giga.
Confident on that.
How about Kevin Lee and Daniel Rodriguez?
That's gonna be a tough one, man. Like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I've lost faith in Kevin Lee.
You know what? Sometimes like he disappoints me. I go with him and we lose. And I recall like seeing him the first time fighting, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to be a beast. But
yeah, he's like Barboza. Sometimes you think, oh, he's one of the best guys in the world, and then other times you think, what happened? You know, like the Dos Anjos fight for Kevin Lee was seriously disappointing. He didn't look good in that fight. The Iaquinta fight, he didn't look good. He stopped Barboza, though. He looked great against Barboza. He knocked out Gregor Gillespie. Like, he's good, Kevin Lee, but then sometimes it just doesn't happen. He talked about it in the lead-up to this as he kind of self-sabotaged himself, and I don't know.
It's a tough one, man. Dude, I don't know who to...
I don't know what I'm saying.
You know, I'm looking at some of the comments, and it's like, you know, these are one of those where, like, you know, I wouldn't put it in my parlay, man. That's, yeah, no, you roll the dice kind of thing, and, you know, no, I'm not touching it. I mean, the only thing I can see really... Like, you know, you've really got me on this Ricky Tercios thing. So from what you said, if this guy wins, he could be something, like, special. So, you know what? I mean, you sold me on that guy, even though I think you picked
Brady.
You took Brady, right?
Yeah.
Man, but you sold me on that Ricky guy. The only other fight I can see here is the Sam Alvey versus Wellington Turman. I mean, look, Smiling Sam, if he loses this fight, it's unfortunate, but I think it's the end of the road for him. It's the end of the UFC career. I love Smiling Sam. He's been awesome, but I just don't think he has enough to continue. If it's not this fight, it's the next fight, and he's probably going to have, like, that retirement. The retirement's going to happen pretty soon. And I think if I had to go with it, I think Turman's going to end the career for Sam Alvey. And, you know, but again, it's not an easy fight to pick on that one. Dustin Jacoby, I see that's a good one versus Darren Stewart. I would go with Dustin Jacoby on that one on my parlay. Man, it's hard. Pat Sabatini, like you were talking about, he's on a 3-fight winning streak.
I was not talking about him. I don't know who that is.
I thought you had mentioned him.
No, I have no idea who you're talking about. Just back to the Kevin Lee-Daniel Rodriguez fight. Kevin Lee has lost 4 of his last 6. Daniel Rodriguez has won 5 of his last 6.
Yeah.
Daniel Rodriguez is 34. Kevin Lee is 28. If Kevin Lee is going to turn it around, this is the fight where he needs to do it. He is a slight favorite. Minus 155. Rodriguez plus 125. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to call.
And it's a last-minute replacement, too, you know?
Right. Is it?
So that's the problem.
What happened?
I thought that was a replacement fight. So, like, there was a whole bunch of fights that have been replaced, and I think that was one of them. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't pick him, but if I had to and I had no choice in this fight, like, you know, you got to pick one or the other, I'd probably go with Daniel Rodriguez on this, even though he's the underdog.
Yeah, I'm kind of siding with Rodriguez, too. Mahmoud Muradov against Gerald Meerschaert. I got Mahmoud.
The only guy that's
Mahmoud is a huge favorite, minus 600. Alessio De Chirico, minus 250 over Abdul Razak Al Hassan. I like that.
He's a tough guy, that Abdul.
Yeah, but Alessio De Chirico is really impressive. I like him. And that's the UFC coming up on Saturday night. Ultimate Fighter finale, UFC Vegas 35. Finally, AJ, I want to ask you a question. Gable Steveson was introduced at SummerSlam this weekend, and he met with WWE owner Vince McMahon. And he was in Vegas and was looking to meet with Dana White, but the meeting never happened. He said Dana White didn't reach out. Now, people were saying, well, Dana dropped the ball and the UFC should have signed him right away and all this stuff. The guy's an Olympic gold medalist in freestyle wrestling at heavyweight. Very well known. He's got a lot of, notoriety right now. People are talking about him. But he's never fought in mixed martial arts. Why should the UFC sign him?
Well, why not? They signed CM Punk. They've done a lot of other things that people were like Brock Lesnar coming in, and they were like, oh, come on.
Brock Lesnar was 1-0 in MMA. Brock Lesnar was 1-0 in MMA before he signed to the UFC.
Dave,
I'll give you the CM Punk thing, but the Brock Lesnar thing is a little different. He fought.
You know what?
He fought. Gable Steveson is coming off a freestyle wrestling gold medal. He has been doing nothing but freestyle wrestling to prepare for that to win the gold medal in the Olympics. I get it, but I don't know if the UFC doesn't really do that kind of stuff, right? The UFC doesn't do that type of stuff. It's more like It's a Bellator type thing. Like Bellator, Strikeforce, Scott Coker, he signs like amateur athletes.
Shields.
Yeah, and they give them like kind of build up fights along the way as they ascend and get better. Like Daniel Cormier kind of started off in Strikeforce, kind of getting tune-up fights to they build up fighters. Ronda Rousey started in Strikeforce, Well, she had a couple MMA fights before, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, that promotion kind of does that. UFC doesn't really have a track record of building up amateur athletes with no MMA background into top MMA fighters by giving them an easy fight and then slightly harder until, UFC, they kind of throw you into the fire right away. I don't know if UFC is the place for Gable Steveson right now. I think makes sense for him to go to pro wrestling while he's in pro wrestling, train mixed martial arts, and then the UFC will come calling. And then you make the move. I think he probably goes to pro wrestling. Like, I get what you're saying. It makes sense for the UFC to want a guy like that, but it's not really their MO to go and sign amateur athletes with no MMA experience. Other than CM Punk, but that was a different thing, and they should really never revisit that again. What if you signed Gable Steveson, you put him in at heavyweight, and you put him in against, like, Greg Hardy, and Greg Hardy knocks him out? What happens then?
Yeah. It's over, for sure.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And you can't say Greg Hardy's a tough MMA fight. The guy's like 0-2 and 0-3 in his last few fights,
Well, but that's
I don't know if Gable Steveson is ready.
Hey, but that's a good example. You just mentioned something like Greg Hardy, man. Look at him coming into MMA. I mean, he wasn't anything. Like
he had a fight or two
for football. Yeah, big deal. It wasn't like it's nothing. So Gable Steveson can have a fight or two like anybody else. But the thing is that the one thing that I agree with you is I would love to see this guy come into heavyweight. If he can really up his like boxing. I know that he was doing some boxing. He talked about that he was doing some stand-up and whatnot. I don't know to what level of boxing he could be classified in, but I'm sure with the right training and coaching, because he's young and he is super athletic and he is super heavy. I think he walks around at 265 or something like that. The thing with this guy is that when I saw him do that backflip, like, up in the air at a heavyweight, I said, man, this guy would be a superstar in the WWE. He'd be like the next Rock kind of thing with the right with the right marketing and everything, because he's got that credential and he could fuck up just about anybody. But coming into the UFC, you're right. Coming in so young without having a stand-up game, and maybe even a submission game. Even though he wrestles, he doesn't have like a jiu-jitsu submission game. I'm sure he can learn that over time. But you know what? If he really wants to get that long-term career, that long-term legendary status like The Rock or Hogan and all of the rest of them, this guy could bring it on, man. This guy is a gold medalist.
Yeah.
Who is super athletic, man.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw, like I said, man, you see him do that flip, that backflip in the air. I can't even do that shit. But this guy can. And when someone can do a backflip, Johnny North knows that kind of stuff.
I can't even
that
do
heavyweight.
That. I mean, yeah. I like that you're comparing yourself to an Olympic gold medalist.
No. Listen,
even AJ can't do a backflip like that.
Listen, I've been flipped in the air like in judo, man. Like,
Yeah, but you can't do a standing backflip.
Not like that, man. No, not at all. Maybe when I was younger, I used to do some crazy shit. But the thing is that This guy at 260 pounds to be able to do a backflip like that is like AEW, WWE material right now.
Yes,
That
no, I
guy
agree.
has a presence.
I agree.
You know?
He's got a
So,
presence.
you know what?
He can talk.
He's got a presence.
Yes, I think Gable Steveson for pro wrestling right now makes a lot of sense. I think it actually makes more sense than MMA somehow. But I think
you know
I think he could be an MMA world champion. He just is going to need some MMA training. Like, you're not going to go in from amateur wrestling into MMA with no striking and no submission skills and nothing like that and become a world champion right off the bat. And I think that Gable Steveson is a guy with so much notoriety that the UFC kind of has to put him into high-profile fights right away, but he's not ready for that. So let him train, let him grow, let him become a more formidable fighter, and then give him a look. He's a very young guy. He's what, like 21? So young.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
21 years old, man. The guy is like a future Rock, like in that status, man. We're talking WWE,
I think Brock Lesnar.
I don't care where it is.
Brock Lesnar
He's
more
Brock
like
Lesnar, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they train together. They've wrestled together. I mean, when you look at Stevenson, he reminds me of Brock, but I think he can have the status of The Rock outside of wrestling because he's got the looks, man, and he's got like that superhero type of look that I can see in movies. But when it comes to fighting, like you look at Brock Lesnar, who was like a wrestling star, man, and that came into the UFC and became a MMA star. Brock Lesnar is the crossover champion that The Rock cannot be, Hogan cannot be, none of these guys could be. But Brock Lesnar he's a legend. But I can see one other guy doing that is Stevenson. If he can fulfill that WWE stardom and develop his striking game, because he's only 21 years old. We're talking John Jones back in the days. Holy shit, man. That could be something incredible. And you know what? To put him into the fighting game right now against guys like Cyril Gane and things like that, he's going to have a hard time. He won't be able to be able to
Cyril Gane would eat him alive. Cyril Gane would destroy him.
Because he doesn't have the angles when you're going to fight a guy who has high-level Muay Thai experience, high-level kickboxing experience, and high-level MMA experience. It's a different game.
Yeah.
But at 21 years old, think of how many fighters at 21 were coming into the game. Like John Jones, man, who went from 19 years old, being found in a gym doing doing his bench press, and some guy saw him, and he went from like such a young age of 19 to become like the John Jones who's legendary status.
Yeah.
You know, so at 21 years old, that means Gable Steveson has been training wrestling since he was like a kid.
Yeah.
When it comes to combat experience, he has it. When it comes to high-level stress, he has it. And the athleticism and the coaching and everything he has. And this guy to learn a stand-up game will take him no time because he's going to get world-class guys around him. This guy is the future, and I think it'll be the best to start with wrestling and then make his way like Brock did.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right, but he's a great athlete and he's young and all that stuff, but sometimes, the stand-up game for wrestlers, it doesn't always translate. Like, it doesn't always work out. Who knows how great a stand-up is going to be. Yeah, well, that's it. Like, it doesn't always work, but I think that he definitely has the potential to be huge, and I think that he could do something that, The Rock or Brock Lesnar were never able to do, and that's not only be a WWE champion, not only be a UFC champion, but also be successful in movies, do all three. Brock was able to do UFC and WWE. The Rock was able to do movies and WWE, but Rock couldn't survive in the UFC. Brock Lesnar doesn't have a movie star demeanor. The guy's not going to be in movies. I don't think he wants to be in movies, but I think Gable Steveson
won't be doing any romantic movies.
He has the personality. He has the potential to do all three, which is really exciting. I think he's going to be a very exciting athlete. And don't forget, Ringside Report Universe, don't forget AJ DeLesio. I was the one who told you about this kid first, all right? I told you about Gable Steveson months and months ago, and nobody else was talking about him.
No, actually,
and I was telling you, this is the guy. Yeah, years ago. I've been talking about this guy for years. Nobody else has been talking about him, and now all of a sudden he's the thing right now in combat sports. But Dave sees these guys come in a mile away. I told you about Magomed Ankalaev way before it happened. I told you about Khabib Nurmagomedov being the best guy at 155 as soon as he had his first fight in the UFC against Kamal Shalarus. I see these people coming a mile away. I have an eye for talent. I just do. It's just a fact.
Don't forget
Cyril Gane. We told you Cyril
We
Gane
were the
was going to
first.
be the UFC world champion before he was even in the UFC. We have an eye for talent. I have a particular eye for talent in mixed martial arts and professional wrestling. I could see guys coming a mile away, and I will tell you about these people way before you ever see them become massive stars. I have an eye for talent. It is what it is. All right? I mean, I don't mean to boast, but goddamn, it's just the truth. I'm not here
You got the fairy dust.
I'm not
bud.
here.
You got that
I
fairy
don't
dust.
like to brag. I don't like to put myself over too much. But once in a while, you got to let people know who you are. I have a tremendous eye for
You're right,
talent. I
man.
see people coming a mile away. It just is. It is what it is. It's
Connor's
what
shy?
I do.
You think Connor is like?
Well, no. Well, that's
man.
it,
When
man.
You've got it. You've got
You got
to
to tell
because
people
I'm gonna
who
tell
you are.
something.
Sometimes I got to remind
Dave.
people who the fuck I am. You know.
And that's why it's good when you have AJ on the show because I remind people who Dave is, and sometimes I got to remind Dave who Dave is, and it's true, no joke. Sometimes
you're
I got to
right.
tell Dave is like Dave.
You
You're
talk
one
me
of
up.
the oldest MMA. You're actually the oldest MMA guy in Canada. That's not a joke. Before all the rest of those jabronis out there that are not sprinkling fairy dust, and then they take all the shit from Dave and they spit it on their own.
Yeah.
And I can say that because I've been watching like a lot of shows and part of the game for a long, long time. And I'm going to tell you something. Dave, you're absolutely right. You've got that eye. And the thing is that like there's a lot of shows there that only jump on the bandwagon when the bandwagon is hot. But they don't really give a shit about the nobodies that really make their ways up. And there's a lot of guys that we've seen in the game that sometimes didn't make it to the huge stardom spot, but they actually made it to the game. And you can see that
Super chat.
they had talent and that they were going to get far. You know, I'm sure there was a lot of people that looked at Clay Guida and said, "Oh, this guy's never going to make it. He's too wild and whatever." But you know what? Clay Guida is still fighting. He was fighting last week and he fought well. I thought he won, in my opinion. But anyways,
All right.
that's the thing. And no, but wait, let me.
I want to
finish.
give a shout
What
out to
I'm
the super
coming at-
chats. A lot of people
Oh.
are coming in saying things, AJ. I want to give a shout out to the members. Patrick C. Hamilton says, thanks, Angelo and Doug, because they were saying nice things about Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. Angelo dropping a super chat saying, you're welcome, Patrick. Angelo is a super chat leader. Did Patrick took the lead. Patrick C. Hamilton says, I am not watching WWE on New Year's unless they have a parade. Oh, yes, Angelo's saying that WWE has a pay-per-view on New Year's Day. They're calling it Day 1.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool. That's
January
cool.
1st, 2022. Will it be live in front of people? I guess so. Yeah, why not? New Year's Day. It's not New Year's Eve. I don't mind. I'll watch WWE on New Year's Day. I'm a wrestling nerd. I've got
Where's it
nothing
being
else to
held
do.
at?
I don't know.
We should go watch it, man.
No,
we should go live.
I'm not
We should go
traveling
there,
to the
man.
United States right now. Delta variant and so on. Patrick C. Hamilton says he's not watching the WWE at New Year's. Let's have a parade. Doug Hepburn says, Dave, did you discover AJ? Nice. Yes, I did discover AJ. You see, I've got an eye
Yeah,
for
you did.
talent.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, I discovered you, AJ. I found you.
Or was it the fact that I was harassing Dave like so much that he's like, "Oh fuck, just let this guy talk and that's
No,
it.
no,
It's
no.
over. Just let him."
I
that
knew
kind of stuff.
you were excellent, and I discovered you. I found you. I made your monkey ass famous, and here you are, AJ, the superstar.
Yeah, but like I always say, listen, look, I'm kind of like the Baba Booey of the show. But the thing is that like when it comes to Dave, I'm gonna tell you guys, like knowing Dave as like one of my best friends, you know, knowing his family, I love this guy like my brother. But when it comes to a walking encyclopedia, Dave Simon, man, is the walking encyclopedia in both professional wrestling and MMA. And that's no bullshit. As well as Fred. Fred is a very knowledgeable guy. Johnny, you know, Glenn, all these guys. But Dave is the Britannica of combat sports knowledge, man. And it's true, man. It's not a joke. Like sometimes I'm like, how does Dave remember this shit? It's incredible. And that's the difference. I don't want to say any names, but on yesterday's show, you mentioned a lot of guys that don't really care about MMA or the pro wrestling world because that's not their game. They're just doing it because it pays well.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between getting paid well and having a passion for it because that's how you're able to spot talent. And that's what you have a knack for. And when it comes down to it, when it comes down to it, what people don't realize is that when the question was posed to George St. Pierre when he was retiring, if he would make a comeback, it was Dave Simon that said that question amongst all the other journalists. And that's when George opened up the door and said, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
And that question went out so far that they actually made a cartoon about it. And
that's
it was
because
like
everybody else in the room was accepting whatever was happening at face value. But I knew more, and I was like, okay, well, George is retiring. Everybody was like, George, what was the best moment of your career? And I'm like, George, why are you actually retiring? It's because Dana won't give you the fight. So if Dana gives you the fight, would you come out of retirement? Like, I read between the lines. I see what's really going on when the rest of the room is just ready to accept the party line. Whatever bullshit they're being fed, they're willing to accept it and just go from there. I see through these things, and I tell it like it really is. And that's why. That's just why. And AJ, you talk about it. A lot of people do this because they're paid and whatever. I am not doing this because I'm paid well. Let me tell you something. I am not paid well. All right? I am not. But the Ringside Report Network does support the channel, and that definitely helps to keep the lights on and to keep us doing well. Thank you, Angelo, dropping the super chat. Saying game over.
And keeping the truth alive, man.
Oh, Angelo takes the lead.
Man.
Angelo takes the lead in the super chat battle for the night. Angelo and Patrick were really battling. Thank you guys. See, you guys are supporting the channel. Keeping us going.
That's the thing. I'd like, what, Dave, because you're like you do such great interviews and whatnot. That's why I always harp on the fact, every once in a while, we should get one of our.
All right, take it easy. We'll talk about this off the air. Yeah. What?
No, but it's because because we had different fighters and whatnot come on and you throw out these questions where I'm like, it becomes interesting for me as well. Like, wow, I didn't know that or whatever,
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and just keep it up, dude. That's the way it is. And George, if he ever comes back, it's because of Dave. George.
If George ever comes back,
he walks around at about 190 pounds.
It's because of Dave.
Yep.
Super
because of Dave.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Not the TRT or anything like that.
Doug Hepburn says, I got hooked on Dave's impressions. Well, thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Quite frankly,
wait a sec.
I appreciate you.
But wait a sec. But nobody gets hooked on my impressions because they haven't seen me doing the costume or the impersonations live in the streets. So if you ever get a chance, Dave, you got to put up some of those feeds of me being Khabib or George.
I'll put up the feeds.
Everybody saw
I will put up the feeds. I'm very sorry, AJ. The feeds will be put up. I'll take care of it. We're done. I think there's a Donda listening party that I have to go watch.
A what?
So I have to go. See ya.
What the hell? What did you say? A
Donda. Donda, goddammit. It's coming out. I think it's coming out tonight. Kanye said the 27th. I think it's happening. Kanye's album that everybody's goddamn waiting for. He keeps saying it's coming out. It's not coming out. I don't know what's going on, but Kanye is in Chicago at Soldier Field tonight. He's doing a big listening event, and I think it starts at 10 o'clock, so I'm going to watch it, and it's going to be an experience because Kanye is the best, and his new album is going to be amazing, and I love Kanye so much.
Dave, ask AJ what he's into now.
What are you going to do now?
I'm hooked onto a new singer. I just discovered her, and I just started listening to her music. I just watched her documentary, and now I'm hooked on all kinds of interviews or whatever. I started watching the documentary series of Selena, and let me tell you, man, wow, that's amazing. Too bad I didn't know about her back then.
Okay.
I was alive at that point.
AJ, people want to know why we didn't do a show last week.
Because AJ had some there was some family issues.
Your kid was sick.
My kid was sick, and let me tell you, man, it was a pretty stressful week and whatnot. But little AJ is doing well; he's good. And little Fred he's sick as well right now. That's why Freddie's not here, and he'll be doing well. But it was a stressful week, man. That's what happens when you have kids, man. It's one hell of a ride, but I love it. Like you said yesterday, Dave, on the, I think it was you gave it a 5 rating. I agree with you on that, man. It's a 5 rating, but let me tell you, man, when they get sick, as most of you know out there, Stressful, dude. Stressful.
Yes, super
But I got to give it
stressful.
to the doctors, man. Not as stressful as some of these doctors, what they have to go through and deal with a lot of shit. But man, I tip my hat to like the medical field because I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't have like, the I guess the balls to do it. I can see things broken on my body from like, doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, whatever it was, Muay Thai. But it kills me like I just don't have it. So like for the medical field, doctors, nurses, and all the rest, man, I tip my hat to you guys.
Yeah. And, I'm glad the little guy's doing all right. I know Freddie was dealing with his little guy not doing so well, so that's why Freddie's not here tonight. And glad that everything turned out with your little man last week, AJ.
Yep, thank God.
A lot of kids are sick these days. A lot of little babies. Zevy's got a little 9-week-old cousin that was sick, is in the hospital, not doing too well. They had to airlift her to another hospital because they live in like Nova Scotia, and they had to airlift her to Halifax and a helicopter to a children's place. Yeah, it's scary stuff, man. It's scary stuff. All the kids, there's a lot of little kids around me getting sick. Thankfully it's not my kids. So everything's all right in Dave's world. But it's just scary for you and for Freddie and just the family around. So definitely look out for those little kids, man. Those kids are the future. They're going to take over one day, and they're awesome. Got to love the children. We love the children, and we love the Ringside Report Network. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Angelo. Angelo, you're the Super Chat leader again. You did it again. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, Patrick C. Hamilton, the OG, the original. Patrick, my man, out in Regina, Saskatchewan.
This is for him. The Godfather.
The Godfather, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. We appreciate you. Patrick, Doug, Angelo, you guys supporting the network tonight. Appreciate you guys. Franco 316, all the members. Don't forget to join. Go to join.ringsidereport.net. Become a member. Thanks for checking in. Everybody else, all the regulars. Brooklyn Lizard out in New York. Derek McCart, brand new to the team. Welcome, Derek. Lauren Cronish, Hedstrom, Bacon, John Hedstrom. All the regulars I'm seeing in the chat. Shout out to you guys as well. We appreciate you guys and everything, all the likes, all the sponsorships, everything. We love you. We appreciate you. And Johnny and I will be back tomorrow night after SmackDown. We're going to watch Rampage with you, and we'll recap everything that's going on in the WWE. That's tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Ringside Report Network.